Take me to the garden and hit the music.
Salute Nick Streets. Knicks take care of business. 2-0 to start the season with a big win over the Boston Celtics at MSG. Welcome in to the post game where we break it down and we give out our grades and talk about the road ahead as the Knicks win 105 to 95 in this one, and they controlled the ball game with a Jalen Brunson 30-piece. We've got a game ball to give out or two. We have an injury update on OG Anunoby as well, and of course we'll shout you guys out all stream long. Welcome in replay squad and live chat buzzing right now. 2-0 start. Mike Brown, new era Knicks. So far, so good, right? I think the Knicks did this with a steady diet of solid rebounding early, despite shooting poorly. The Knicks found their rhythm in the second quarter. They were getting to the line, and the pace, the assists were up, as always, from pre-season. But the three ball was falling in this one from the second quarter onwards, and Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns were the clear standouts in this one, with Deuce McBride getting the start in this one. No Ariel Hukporti. So a lot of talking points, some fascination coming out of this win. It was sloppy at times, but we know Boston rewind their off-season, right? And they lost Kristaps Porzingis, they lost Al Horford, Luke Cornett, and of course no Jason Tatum. The Boston Celtics pushed the Knicks in this one. I thought the three-point shooting, Joe Mazzulla's system, always going to be a tricky prospect. And the Knicks starting Cat at the 5. Defensively, I think the Knicks were lacking in their rotations compared to game 1. But again, they gritted it out with the rebounding. Second chance points, the New York Knicks really capitalized. Yabor Sele had probably his best rounded game as a Knick. Jordan Clarkson chipped in as well. And as you see in this clip, Josh Hart finished with, I think, 13, 14 rebounds in around 20 minutes. So good to see Hart back. Obviously, we're still waiting for Mitch to return, and we'll give you an update on that. But ladies and gentlemen, we're all buzzing. Shout out to Prezi the Boss, Chris Gotti, Lily Phillips, and everyone coming through right now. Update on OG Anunoby. Fell awkwardly in the fourth quarter. Look like cramp for me, but we'll wait and find out, fam. Kind of a positive update. Ian Begley said he was getting worked on by the trainers after walking off with that leg injury. Doesn't seem like he went back to the locker room, and so we'll find out more. But I felt it kind of looked like cramp in that one. Tyler Kolek again continues to be the backup point guard. Really solid minutes. I thought he was slightly better in the first game, but I thought Kolek again, giving the Knicks solid minutes, and the sky's the limit for him. I think in cementing a spot in this rotation now, right, with Malcolm Brogdon retiring, right, but Karl Anthony Towns hitting those threes was big time. And we take a look at the numbers, right? We're giving out 2 game balls in this one, ladies and gentlemen. So shout out to Kat and shout out to JB, the captain. You see their shot charts too. Karl Anthony Towns started at the 5. I thought, again, we're missing Hukporti or Mitch's presence. Trey Jemison didn't play in this one too. But when Cat is grooving and flowing, offensively like he is with Brunson and Deuce out there with the extra spacing, we're going to talk a lot about that tonight too, with the Deuce McBride minutes, because that was key offensively. I thought the Knicks slowed down, finished with 105. They really should have finished with a higher total, but Boston did turn the ball over a lot, and the Knicks defense did pick up. Got some good minutes from Landry Shamet. I thought Clarkson's defense was very notable. But when Brunson's, driving and kicking, scoring at the rim, and cats popping, and also being aggressive as well. I mean, we just have too many weapons for Boston. So we strike first in this big season. That's Cleveland down. That's Boston down. We're not at our best. Of course, the best is yet to come, guys. Kerry Cox, shout out. Buzzer beater in the building. Great to see you, Carlos. Let's pull up the numbers and we'll continue to roll the highlights. But as y'all see, fam, the Knicks got up 45 threes and shot 38%. So that is killer. That's killer. That's noteworthy. We shot 24 free throws and the Knicks shot 92%, 22 of 20 from the free throw line. So big shout out to Cat Brunson, 8 of 8. Right, looks like these guys have really worked on their free throws. So that is a big, big, big tick. And we'll continue to look at that. Right, we're going to unveil the latest segment, which is Coach's Chat too. We are going to talk about Mike Brown, and you know, this is sponsored by you guys, the chat, right? After we're done shouting out and giving out the grades, we're going to talk about Mike Brown so far. What's different? What's working? What's interesting? Some criticism, constructive criticism, of course, but so far so good, man. The pace, the threes are up. Offensively, we're going to be dynamite. And we're going to be talking about Mike Brown in the coaches chat segment in this one. But look, it wasn't going to be long into the season before our two leading gunners really get their signature game ball performance. And in game 2 against Boston, these guys showed up when the lights were the brightest. So yeah, on that note, shout out to the chat. Keep the comments, questions coming through. Carlos says, why didn't Huck play at all? Basically, I think in a nutshell, Josh Hart returned. So Hart made his season debut. So I guess he didn't want to go 11. And also Boston were a lot smaller, Carlos. You know, Boston played a real small ball lineup. I think with Jaylen Brown, Hauser, Derek White, and they had Peyton Pritchard, and at times Anthony Simons. So I think he probably just wanted to match up. But yeah, it was a little bit surprising. I thought Huck already deserved, you know, real minutes after his performance. But I guess on a positive front, it just means Mike Brown's prepared to switch it up. You know, ladies and gentlemen, that's the biggest victory I'm taking now with Mike Brown so far. He's willing to adjust to the opponent. He's going to adapt. Deuce McBride got the start tonight. First game, it was Huck Porty. Keep the opponents guessing. Man, he's keeping us guessing, fam. Keeping us on our toes, too. Lily Phillips agrees. A lot of surprising moves. Huck Porty not getting an opportunity. David M. Salute, 2-0, my dude. Great to see you come through. Paula says free throws were key. And the rebounds. Yeah, so it looked like, you know, Boston were making some mini runs. I was never really worried because the Knicks were in control offensively. We just had too much firepower. But we did go into a little bit of a stupor, and that's 2 games. And I think that's going to be a continuous trend. Because when you do play fast, you do get a lot of threes up. We saw Boston last season when we sent them home, that you can go cold. And the Knicks started cold in this one, but like Paula says, we played gritty, and I liked our rebounding. Cat controlled the glass. Yabel Sele, man, got us a couple of second chance points as well, fam. Kerry Cox bringing something different, says Josh Hart deserves a game ball too. Really underrated signature type Josh Hart performance, Kerry. So I appreciate that. I think Hart's energy off the bench is going to be profound, you know, as we continue to roll these highlights and I pull up the grades. I'm giving Hart a solid, selfless performance, but yeah, he could have been a standout in his role. I think he definitely was a major shine in his role. I thought Kolek just really solid. Second quarter was amazing, and he was on track for a standout. But he regressed a little bit as the game went along, and Boston ramped up their defense. But yeah, nobody got a silent or sloppy tonight. It was Jordan Clarkson, really animated, hit some big threes. I liked his scrappiness. I thought he was, huge. That catalyst, guys. It was an amazing, amazing second quarter where the New York Knicks won 42-14, right? And they led 64-44 at the half. And man, I was loving it, man. Really, really entertaining style. The ball movement. Last year we know was a grind under Tibbs. Now I did think Brunson. We saw a lot of isolation tonight, but not as much as we got used to last season, right? But Karl Anthony Towns, got his threes up too. OG Anunoby got plenty of threes up too. More of a quieter night for OG Anunoby on the offensive front. But yeah, the kick out, big rebound in this one, and a big, big kick out for the OG3. Acrobatic bridges finish too. I guess transition continues to be a major factor from preseason to now. Hart looking to push the break. Whoever grabs that rebound, it's just out, man. The New York Knicks are off to the races with this one. Anthony Simons couldn't even get back in time, and we're making teams pay. I'm seeing kind of shades of Indiana, guys, from last season. Again, I said it last stream, but if you lose to an opponent, you definitely learn a lot from them, and we're getting a lot more easier buckets in this one, right? As I pull up the game stats, right, we can appreciate how we won this ball game, right? Look at those fast break points, fam. Look at that, the bottom right dial. 2 fast break points to Boston all game. That's unbelievable. 15 fast break buckets for the New York Knicks. 21 second chance points to Boston's 7, right? Points in the paint. Boston got victorious in that category. But when you're shooting, 45 threes at 38%, man, we beat Boston at their own game with pace, space, and the assists as well. 23 as the Knicks, basically it was an avalanche in the second half, and we continue to be tough to stop offensively. I don't even think our defense needs to be that great, guys. I mean, we all want a lockdown New York Knicks defense, but when Cat starts at the 5, I don't think that's going to be our identity. It will be if we do get Mitch back sooner rather than later. And with that said, we can still win that game, like Uriak says. It just goes to show, despite that coldness, we still pulled it out, right, in style. James Baker says, nice win. I think we're jacking up too many threes. I was waiting for the first guy to say, how much is too much, ladies and gentlemen. But when you're shooting like you do, a lot of it, actually, it's hard to judge tonight, guys. I'm not going to think that we're going to shoot 45. I just think we rebounded and got the kick out. Usually when you get an offensive rebound, most of the time it's going to be a 3 from the kick out. Bren's shout out says, Cat's still sloppy. And I agree with that. Frustrating at times. 6 of 16 is Karl Anthony Towns, but he was 10 of 12 from the field, and continues to rebound like a giant out there. Yeah, not always pretty tonight, but again, this is what our biggest opponents are going to be throwing up against us in the East this season, guys. We are headed to the NBA Finals, right? Cleveland out of the way, Boston out of the way. Who else is going to stand in our way, fam? Is it Orlando? Is it ATL? Let us know in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the chat, right? Continue to roll these highlights and shout you guys out, right? But let's move along to the next segment, man. Coaches Chat, sponsored by you guys, by the chat, right? This is your segment. And Mike Brown, 2 games in, James says too many threes, right? Some changing of the starting lineup, I would like us to settle on a starting lineup, me personally. But if it's adapting to the opponent, I get it. But man, I'm super pleased with Deuce McBride. getting a start. So that's a big tick for me so far with Mike Brown. What else do you guys have to show? Do you want to, give Mike Brown some shine in other regards? Let us know if there's any other criticism, right? Paula says Cat had some stupid fouls. Yeah, he also got fouled stupidly as well. The one where he got shoved out of bounds. And I think Mike Brown winning some challenges was good. So far, so good with that one. Carlos says second half was sloppy. Boston increased their pressure. Yeah, I think we're going to have to get used to leading games a lot and just trying to see them out, consistently. Whenever you have a 42-14 second quarter, it's kind of like, man, you just want the game to be over and just finish the job. But look, Boston are a solid team still. They're going to keep coming. They're a well-coached team. And I think Joe Mazzulla would have got absolutely stuck into them at halftime, fam, and, ripped them a new one. Because, I mean, we haven't seen a domination like this. Knicks over the Boston Celtics in a minute, right? Yeah, Jason Tatum out there looking shook, right? he had a blank face out there watching Jaylen Brown trying to force it. On some bright notes for Boston, I thought, yeah, Hugo Gonzalez, their young fella, looked solid. Sam Hauser, one of the best three-point shooters in the league, man. If we thought Dante had a hot year, Sam Hauser is absolutely nuclear. But want to give some shout outs individually too, as we continue to shout you guys out about Mike Brown. Got the 2 wins. That's all that counts right now. Buzzer Beater says those cuts to the basket would not have happened under Tibbs. Yep, there's some adaptation. I think Tibbs' style is to protect the paint. And I said it, we could escape with some victories, but I'm not the biggest fan of Cat at the 5. And we all know when Mitch gets right, he's going to start. Yabusele, not a defensive big man for mine, but at the 4, you see shades of what he can do here. Knocking down that 3 for his first bucket at Madison Square Garden. Shout out to Yabusele. He had a solid game, especially on the glass. Now, at 280 pounds, he's tough to move out there. Yabusele gets the solid grade. Quiet night offensively, though. 3 points, but a +4. 5 rebounds, 3 offensive, fam. And knocked down 1 of 2 threes in 13 minutes, right? That's okay. I mean, he's going to have his moments. So far, a different kind of player over Precious Achua. Yabusele, more of that offensive threat. But if he can space the floor out, we can have a lot of fun with these lineups, fam. Especially with Colette, Clarkson. Big time second quarter, fam. We blitzed the Boston Celtics 42-14. The lineup that I really like, as I put it in the chat right now, I made the notes. The lineup that blew the game wide open, fam. What do y'all feel about a Colette, Clarkson, Cat, Bridges, OG Anunoby? It was excellent. Really like what I'm seeing from Tyler Kolek and Clarkson. Both can handle the ball. Both can find a shot. Great in the pick and roll. And I think, it's a good look that we're seeing so far so early in the season, fam. As we see Tyler, the creator, but creating for himself in this one, man. He left Neemias Queta in dust. And also shout out to the big man, Yabu, sticking that caboose out and setting a great screen on Hauser, man. Man, it was like getting around a house, trying to get around Yabusele. And that opened the lane up for Tyler Kolek in that one. Yeah, we'll continue to update y'all on OG, and I agree with Carlos. I'm kind of hoping it's just cramp. I've seen enough cramp to kind of know when it looks like a cramp. And I do think the fact that OG was kind of, when the leg goes really stiff like that, it's usually just cramp. And he was putting in a hell of a shift. So I do think it's probably just cramp. Look, y'all, I'm not even sweating injuries at this point. I know we kind of want everyone to be healthy, but I mean, the fact that Mike Brown could just throw out different lineups now. And what do y'all think about Clarkson's game? Right? Is he starting to win some of y'all over? Jordan Clarkson played really good defense, I think, in this one. That was certainly the most eye-popping thing so far. On the coaches chat, shout out to Buzzer Beater, says, I love how Brown is relying on the bench. Yeah, I kind of really want him to go 11, 11, 12, get Huck out there, trade Jemison. Like y'all said, Buzzer, keep everyone's minutes down. This is kind of extended preseason for me, right? These games don't really mean anything right now. We want to get everyone in a rhythm. And, and also our possessions are a lot shorter, jacking up these threes, fast break layups. I mean, 15 fast break points, right? We could barely muster up 15 fast break points under Thibodeau last season, man. I got to go back and I'll put it in the comment section. I want to check how many games last season where we could get 15 or more fast break points, man. Right. I'm going to guess it wasn't probably many, man. Probably less than 15, less than maybe 15 games out of last season. We got 15 fast break points, man. It was a half court grind under Tibbs last season, right? Shout out to everyone in the building. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the stream, and replay squad as well. Salute. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Kerry says Hart deserved a game ball. Really good find from Cat in this one. One of the reasons why Cat is so great. He's a great passer, and we need this more. Ball movement, player movement. Letting the defense kind of scramble, and that was a big miscommunication on the Boston side with this one, man. And Hart slipped the screen big time. Michael Drake, salute. Drew reviews music. Great to see you in the house. Deras and everyone coming through. Michael says, hi guys, great game from Kolek, looking great. Empowerment, fam. Empowerment under Mike Brown. Lily Phillips says the team will continue to get better. More they play together. Good win while figuring things out. Definitely, Lily. And I think, we are going to get into some offensive funks because the shot selection might be a little bit iffy with the threes, the quick threes and all of that. But that's just the way the game is going now. That's just the way the game is going too. I thought we got really quality looks. Deuce couldn't hit the backside of the barn early as well, and Brunson was missing too. We could have really put them to the sword early. David says Clarkson, a certified bucket. I was surprised how easily he scores. Yeah, a couple of no pull-ups where he was leaning forward, but they went down. So that just goes to show what great touch that Jordan Clarkson has too. Johnny Cheeber's in the house. One of his best players is Landry Shamet, a true glue guy, role player, and Landry. I thought this was a big game-changing three, fam. And on that angle, I've got to admit, live, I thought, man, that hit the front iron, but it was so sweet. It just went straight down, fam. And Landry Shamet seems to have a knack for stepping up, and hitting big shots when we need it. We will take a look around the league tonight. As Buzzer says, I'm keeping my eye on Philly. VJ Edgecombe, man, what is going on with him? 13 three-point attempts in his rookie debut was insane. Eddie F says, CT, I gotta love another win over the Celts. Deuce becoming a clutch three guy. Hart rebounds, can't shoot, but what a ferocious rebounder, Eddie. Yeah, we need more guys like that are prepared to do some of that dirty work, fam. Kind of some throwbacks. Every good team has a couple of throwback guys. But yeah, I think it was glaringly obvious that Boston were missing Al Horford, KP, Cornette, and obviously Jason Tatum. as well. Their new guys aren't anything close to those guys, right? I'm sorry, Celtic fans, but you can't really replace um, you can't replace that kind of production, from those guys. It is a tough situation out east, but it's our benefit, and we need to capitalize. So on that front, man, great news coming through from Drew Reviews Music. Shout out via Ian Begley, and it looks like Ian Begley's just reported that OG's injury was a cramp as well. So it happens to the best of them, fam, and he was playing super hard. So shout out to OG, and I think we might see him still in the next game, fam. I do believe our next one is against Miami, our first game on the road of the season, and then Milwaukee. So no let up in this one. Buzzer says, I'm keeping my eye on Philly. Edgecombe can be what PG-13 would be. And if MB can get back into form, watch out. Absolutely. And look, they've got Grimes. They've got Jared McCain, who could return as well. So I think Philly could crack top 5, top 4, if they can stay healthy too. But guess what? We continue to roll out new guys and new, warriors. And Josh Hart returned, season debut, was dealing with the lumbar spasm in the back. But, he was showing no signs of fatigue in this one, in the words of Clyde. And he is just a warrior, fam. He'll bounce off you and grab whatever rebound, and he won't take a back step, will Josh Hart. And I think he's going to be perfect off our bench, 20 to 25 minutes, especially if Deuce is starting some as well. So really good performance from Josh Hart in this one. Another great feed from Karl Anthony Towns. And sharing is caring. OG shows the love back and gives it straight back to Cat for the 3. And this is how you kill Boston and other defenses with 1,000 passes. Man, just keep moving, keep grooving, keep getting into spots. And I think, like Lily Phillips said, the chemistry will continue to grow with this team. I don't even think we're seeing a like 10%, fam, of what this team is capable of, which sounds crazy, but these guys are still new. They're figuring it out. They're figuring it out, man. Our defense is going to take a huge step up when Mitch gets back. So yeah, we sort of talked about it a little bit earlier, but Buzzer comes through and wants to know, speculating why Brown didn't play Huck or Dardier at all. Well, look, Dardier, I think, is further down the pecking order, to be honest, fam. I think he's further down. I think Diawara might be ahead of kind of Dardier right now. And I just think the shooting inconsistencies is probably what's holding Dardier back. Defensively, I think Dardier is sound. But in relation to Huck Pority, I just got to think it's a matchup thing, I think Mike Brown really looks at the film and wants to see, okay, is this the game where I need to play 2 bigs? Boston like to shoot a lot of threes. Let's not forget. And I think if you've got 2 bigs out there scrambling to the 3-point line, you saw Hauser, you saw Pritchard, you saw Jaylen Brown. They're very small. Chris Boucher, very light, and also Keita. So yeah, I got to think it's just a matchup thing. But yeah, look, Huck's fresh. He'll be ready to go, I think, when his number is called, for the next one, right? But foul trouble, another thing. I think Huck would have got an opportunity. One of those games where Cat, and it's coming, he's going to pick up those 3 fouls in 1 quarter. And we've got the depth now for other guys to really step up. Cat finished with just 2 personal fouls, right? So that's another reason Cat was a standout. I thought his defense in the first quarter, man, it was bad. It was bad, but we picked it up. Second quarter, the Knicks really started to lock in, and I thought Cat played a lot better defensively. No drop. I think Mike Brown would have said a couple of things. They did capitalize when Cat did go into a drop, but then we eliminated that, and Cat finished strong. +6 with just 2 personal fouls. Still a couple of sloppy ones, but I do think that, he was absolutely killing them offensively, and especially rebounding. Now, how great is it to see Deuce McBride now bring the ball up, and we can get everyone up the court quick. No one hanging back, waiting for Brunson to get the ball. It's like Deuce off to the races, fam. And look at that bounce pass, finding Mikal for the player movement. Really shifty, and tough to stop is Mikal Bridges, fam. He can slip in between bodies and continue to get to the rack. Um, he really deserved a standout performance, did Mikal Bridges. I think he's been our most consistent player going back through pre-season. Um, comment here from Simon, salute, says, I don't mind the threes, but we need to attack the basket more. We'll become predictable. And yeah, I think we just got to find that nice mix. I like Kolek, attacking the rack, Brunson as well. I don't like Cat attacking the rack so much. I like Cat posting up, but when Cat tries to attack the rack, he usually gets a strip or a sloppy turnover. He doesn't get the whistle that he deserves. So, he does turn it over a little bit with that one, fam. But yeah, I definitely feel you. I don't really want to see us shooting 53s. As we heard Amazon Prime today for the first time. Let us know your thoughts on Stefan Gundy with Iron Eagle and also Cassidy Hubbarth, and then the guys in the studio. I thought the studio thing was probably the biggest upside, but they got to work on their chemistry, man. They were stiff as a board with Dirk Nowitzki. Shout out to Dirk. I've met Dirk. He's a great guy, but they need to show some more personality. I think with Steve Nash, Blake Griffin, and Udonis Haslam. But as they noted on the call, like Stan Van Gundy said, um, you know, is there going to be a point where Boston shoots 70 threes? That was a legitimate question that Stan Van Gundy was asked. Fair, that's crazy to think about. Ain't no one want to see 73s. Like, come on, man. Charles Barkley, man, rolling over in his grave right now. Drew says, I honestly think Tosan could see minutes over Dardier. Yeah, the greatest thing right now is it's the unknown, fam. None of us really know. I think Diawara was deserving, and he seems to be kind of, not going to say in the doghouse, but he seems to be down the pecking order. As David says, I like Huck in the starting lineup, man. Who doesn't like Huck in that starting lineup? Definitely. I think we're more solid, and I think against like an Atlanta, against a Miami team, I would like us to probably go with another big man. You got Khalil Ware next up, along with Bam Adebayo, David. That's going to be crazy. My nephew got Khalil Ware rookie card, fam, from last season's pack. And man, we checked out the valuation on that. It's going up. So my nephew and I, we're happy he got the Khalil Ware rookie card. And that's definitely, a guy that I think is coming in this league. I think he's going to take over Bam Adebayo with, with the Miami situation. And I do think that, we need a guy like Huck. We need a guy like Trey Jemison and Mitch for those kind of games. Right. Not everyone's going to be offensively adept like Boston. Inept, sorry, in terms of missing so many guys. And I think we are going to have to tighten up. And we just can't rely on these threes, too. Eddie says Bridges definitely looks much more comfortable in Brown's scheme. You said it, Eddie. I think that could be like getting a brand new pickup. Like let's go back to last season with Tibbs. Did we see like 25% of Mikal Bridges? Did we get 50%? Did we get 75% of Mikal Bridges? Who knows? But I kind of feel like there was more to give. He's definitely a better player than what we've seen, and we are seeing it right now. We've just got so many threats, man. I think we could really give Thunder a run. And I do think Thunder are probably going to be the favorites to get through the West, fam. As their first 2 games, man, went to double overtime, which is absolutely crazy. But offensively, I think we can blow any team out of the gym if we are clicking. And big step forward for Mike Brown and the club, I think, starting Deuce McBride. Because they didn't start shooting well this game, but that's going to be a rare occurrence, I think. When the ball keeps moving, it's like pick your poison. Deuce is going to be getting loose, and Brunson can take a back step some nights. Other nights, Brunson can continue to kill it and close it out. I thought Brunson should have passed the ball in this one, but he did find the right pass in the end, and that just goes to show. I think this play encapsulates the New York Knicks right now. Look at the players open. You got the greatest shooting big man standing there, top of the key, and you can still look him off, drive to the paint, and still kick it out for another shooter. This is incredible, this play. We never saw this last season. And you had Brown and you had Derek White scrambling to close out on Deuce McBride, man. This is a true 5-out look. Well, Josh Hart's out there, but he was going to grab that rebound. So I'm really happy with Deuce starting, fam, and getting these opportunities. What's up, Glenn? Great to see ya. Says, salute CT, happy for TKO. He was a dog in college and he didn't get a chance under Tibbs. Clarkson scoring is big for us as well. Yeah, let's look at the bench scoring, Glenn, as Brown continues to run a 10-man. So we got 3 points from Shamit. We got 2 points from Hart, 3 points from Yabu, 6 points from Clarkson, and 2 points from Kolek. So not a great night bench scoring, but on a night like tonight, that was probably similar to last season. But Clarkson hit some big buckets. Like you say, Hart went 1 of 8 from the field, right? So he's rusty, but Clarkson 2 of 4 and 40% from the field, plus 12 as well. So I see some dog in Clarkson, fam. I know y'all said about Kolek, and I agree, Glenn. Kolek has that dog, and he likes the physicality. He's just undersized, and he's trying to fight over that. But what I was impressed with Jordan Clarkson, he was really getting into it. And you can tell he's enjoying playing for a team that's winning. Going from Utah is one thing, but going from a team that stinks, to a team that's like, not even playing its best and still winning has to be a crazy shift for a guy like Clarkson. He's got to be thinking, man, where am I right now, man? I can get all the shots that I want, and we're winning as well. So big win for the 5-out looks, and great dime again from Tyler, the creator. Now, let's talk about Tyler, guys. Is he here to stay right now in the rotation? I'm not saying would you keep him in the rotation. I'm saying what's Mike Brown going to do? Because so far, it's hard to take him out right now. I think it allows Clarkson to play his role and be more of a look for your shot kind of offensive threat, and playing alongside Kolek, everyone can eat, right? The best moment of tonight's game was the second quarter where Kolek came in, and it was just like we just blew him aside, fam, like Thanos. We just clicked, and players were grooving. And next thing you know, man, 14-0 run, and the Garden was crazy, and the Knicks won the quarter, 42-14. Unbelievable. We need more of that, and the energy that Kolek is bringing is good as well in spurts. So going back to the coaches chat, ladies and gentlemen, consistently I've been preaching about how I like Mike Brown's substitutions, right? All the way through preseason, I always felt like, okay, he's shortening guys' spurts on the court and then he's getting them in and out quickly, and so that when they come back in, they've got more energy. Whereas Tibbs would play guys like longer periods, and then he'd sit them for longer periods. They'd come back in and they'd be cold, So if you get guys in and out, man, 2 or 3 minutes, the guys are coming in, they're hot, and they've got energy. And then don't wait till they go cold. You get them back out again, and then you get the next guys back in as well. So I thought Tibbs used to sit guys for too long, So that's my thoughts on Mike Brown. Right, that. Buzzer says, CT, 100% right about that lack of energy and chemistry on that prime pre-game. I think they'll get better, but yeah, I always like Taylor Rooks. I think Blake Griffin, I think he's going to be he's going to have a long career, fam, in the broadcasting world. And look, we've talked about this before, but if and when Clyde, hangs it up, and I hope that day never comes, but who could we get? A lot of people talking about Jamal Crawford. I think Jamal Crawford and Mike Breen would be great. Let's see if we get Gus Johnson back this season from the MSG too, or Alan Hahn. Alan Hahn still growing into the sort of the color commentary, great hosting, great analysis post game. Alan Hahn might be a guy that picks up the torch from Clyde. Fam. Chris says the offense will get much better, and agree. Simon says coaches subs like the NHL. I guess when you got more guys to play, you need to kind of find ways to get them in, and you got to find ways to flow. I'm sure Yabu's hoping he's going to play more. I'm sure Clarkson wants to play more, and so my coach's speech in the locker room right now, it'd be like, man, I got more guys that I want to play. I trust all of y'all, but make the most of your minutes. Right? If you want to play more, then produce, and I'm going to give you more minutes. That's how you keep guys hungry right now, because there'll be guys chipping at the heels. Right, Tosan wants to play. Trey Jemison wants to play. Huck Porty didn't get to play. Dadier, Diawara, McCullough. Mitch is still out, so he's going to force somebody out. When he gets out, when he gets back in. So that's why I ain't really sweating the injury front this season, because there's bound to be guys that can step up. As long as Mike Brown just can keep them on the up, keep them kind of like emotionally and kind of focused, not let their heads drop, because it's tough. If you want to play and you're not playing, kind of, guys can kind of start to feel the pressure a little bit. Paula says Jamal, Gus, as long as it's not Wally. Alan Hahn has real potential, says Buzzer. Shout out to our guy Bill Pedo as well. We'll be talking about Bill. We'll be talking to Bill this season. Both Bills. Buzzer says give Ewing or Starks to Mike. Bam. Like Fat Joe. Shout out to Celebrity Row in this one. But yeah, look, really impressed with the Knicks so far. Things we've got to clean up. But not that impressed with Boston. I've got to be honest. I don't think Cleveland and Boston are really looking like threats to us this season if we produce, if we play our best. Let's see what, Orlando have got. Let's see what, Atlanta have got. There's some other teams like Philly, they might surprise. But I think the only thing stopping the Knicks from winning a title is the team out west. One of these teams out west. Quite possibly. And so far so good, man. Different game ball on different nights. OG Anunoby was a killer in game 1. We heard from Adam Silver as well. I'm not going to pull up the video in case of the copyrights, but Adam Silver talked to Cassidy Hubbarth about the NBA dealing and their response to the investigations and arrests from the FBI. Terry Rozier, Damon Jones, Chauncey Billups, former New York Knick. Absolutely unbelievable. Um, Look, I don't think this thing's going to go away. I think it's going to be a situation where, more things might come to light. I hate to say it, but, when the league gets in bed with the betting companies and the players as well, can, can make money on the side through these prop bets. It's happening in other sports as well. I do know, especially, individual sports like combat sports, it's easy to kind of influence the result in the combat sports, boxing, tennis, soccer as well. When you can get sent off the field, you can pick up a red card or a sin bin. Um, but basically, any player can influence with these prop betting situations. So it's up to, and I'm absolutely thanking myself, thanking that the New York Knicks, and praying to myself that, it continues, that nobody from the New York Knicks, and it stays clean from that situation, right? Other organizations and teams are in the mud with that. Um, Jet Life for Life says, "What's wrong with Wally?" I like Wally where he's at, to be honest. But yeah, the odd color commentary thing is all good. Wally does a lot of college ball. Definitely does a lot of college stuff too. Gray says, "Yeah, salute. Knicks came in, handled their business. Yeah, on a great night. All we need to do is just keep, chalking up these wins, fam. We're not even going to be remember and look back as the season goes, right? We won't remember game one, game two. We just hopefully it's a blur. We just keep picking up wins and building, that great chemistry. Um, but look, so far with the coach, he's played more guys. We're playing faster. Everything we wanted from last season, right? So far, Mike Brown is getting a real standout, right? He's going to get a standout grade because he's doing the right things right now. He hasn't really been calling many plays. I thought one good play we did outside of a timeout. I think where Deuce McBride got a 3, so that was a pleasant surprise. We didn't really dominate out of timeouts last season. This season we seem to be a lot better, right? Small sample, but we seem to be a lot better out of timeouts this season. What do you guys think? Um, Guys playing a more willing facilitator role as well, especially when you get a pass first guy like Tyler the Creator out there as well. So shout out to Kolek. How many assists did he finish with? Kolek finished with 4 assists in just 13 minutes. So there we go. Doesn't play a lot, but make sure that he picks up assists always. McBride got 4 assists, Brunson with 5. Bridges and OG wing stop, 2 steals apiece. Salute. So far, OG's goal is to win Defensive Player of the Year, and he's definitely showing that in the first 2 ball games. Um, yeah, Eddie talking about the Chauncey Billups situation. Yeah, he shouldn't be putting himself in that situation. Now, I don't know if he's obviously, heavily connected to the mafia and those guys. He might be feeling the pressure. He might just keep that bad company. But man, to be the coach of that, I think he's done as an NBA coach. If obviously, assuming there's real evidence, incriminating evidence, man, he will never coach in the NBA again with that situation. So yeah, Chauncey's involved in the 2 front. He was apparently informing people of players' status, right? Now, whether or not it was intended for them to put bets on, but yeah, he was informing people of player status, but also being involved in a ring of rigged poker games as well, right? Which is, I mean, the guy's made what, over 100 million in his career, and it just, I guess, like, money is at the root of most evil in terms of like greed. Some people can just never have enough. Bam. Paula says, Deuce, did a great job on defense. Yeah, I think it worked well tonight, Paula, with the smaller Boston lineups. When we play against like Miami, who are bigger, let's see what Mike Brown does. Right, I don't think it's a lock that Deuce starts against Miami. He might throw hard out there. He might throw us a curveball for the extra size and rebounding. Or he might continue to start Deuce. He might bring in Huck Porty again, which is interesting, fam. Now, great question earlier from Buzzer. I also remember this point in relation to Huck and Trey Jemison, and why do you think he didn't even play either of those guys? Well, I noticed Trey Jemison was in street clothes, guys, and let's not forget he's on a two-way contract. His two-way contract is Trey Jemison, right? And that comes with a games limitation, a games restriction, right? So if you want to go with that extra big, Huck Porty can play as much as you need, but with Mitch out, you kind of need to be, be safe with him. But with Trey Jemison, he can't play every game. And so I think you have to pick your battles when it comes to Trey Jemison, right? He can't play more than 50 games. So that is going to be something to manage, I think. And hopefully Mike Brown is up to it, right? Buzzer says Portland can't buy a break, right? Eddie says he'll be banned for life too. I mean, yeah, I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but he would have been. Metaphysical Logic Salute says good game, but they got sloppy in the end, but great win. Love the 4 threes in a row. Yeah, I love the second quarter, man. I can't wait to watch that back on replay. But yeah, some positive signs. Clarkson stepping up, the bench mob producing again, Kolek, ball movement. We're just less reliant on the starters now, I mean, what an upgrade, fam. Not to throw any shots at Precious, Campaign, PJ Tucker, DeLon Wright, Jericho Sims, but I mean, if Tibbs is sitting back, right, let's say Tibbs is sitting back right now, even watching this post game, salute to Tibbs, but he's watching this game right now and watching the Cleveland game thinking, man, just give me some of those weapons. I never had that. Y'all gave me Precious, y'all gave me Campaign, right? And I got y'all to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I got no doubt Mike Brown is the right man for us right now. But I thought if Tibbs came back, he definitely could have got us to the finals again. But obviously playing a more rigid style, and look in a season that's a grind, injuries do play a part, and you want to make sure that most of your guys are available, when the playoffs come, right? Because look, some people look at those Achilles as freak injuries, but you look at the wear and tear on Tyrese last season. You look at Jason Tatum goes down with the Achilles as well, right? Now, everyone's looking at Indiana like, oh man, up and coming, great season. They defied logic, made the finals. I'm looking at like, is it sustainable, right? Y'all want to run like that with, Tyrese playing a lot of minutes. In the end, he didn't get to the finish line. That's all that counts. In the end, he ran out of steam, and so we want to avoid that. We don't want guys running out of steam, and not getting past the finish line. Right? You can't win the chip if you don't get to the finish line. Yeah, Paula says I don't think he'll coach again if that's true. Billups is in the hall, says Buzzer. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think he'll if he is, yeah, no surprise. If he's not yet, he will be, or he would have been. So yeah, the assists continue to be up. Like again, that's something we didn't see with Tibbs. The level of ball movement, and obviously if there's a 5-out lineup, that's going to promote more ball movement, right? You're getting pressured and hounded. Your teammate might be open, and you're more likely to throw them the pass. If they are open. We made so many second, third, fourth passes in this one to find the open man. And Boston out there were scrambling, fam, like you see. So without further ado, now let's bring up the action, fam, from around the league, right? So today, let me bring this bad boy up. Yes, here we go, fam. So the Raptors and the Bucks, that's a very, very noteworthy game, right? The Raptors were surprising winners in their first game. Healthy now, a bigger rotation. Bucks, though, get the victory, 122-116, right? The Hawks got, embarrassed in their first game. They come to play. They get the win to steady the ship, 111-107. So the Orlando Magic and the Hawks are both 1-1 now. I think the Magic had a big win there. Cleveland bounce back and get the win, 131-124 against the New Jersey Nets. The New York Knicks get the big win, 105-95. The Heat, our next opponent coming up on Sunday night in South Beach. That one earlier tip, that's a 6 p.m. tip, right, on Sunday night. That's a good time, fam. We'll be there, post-game live. The Heat, 146, blow the doors off the Memphis Grizzlies, fam. So that's a big win for the Heat and a big confidence boost, right? Now, because they're our next opponent, I'm just going to bring up the box score right here and just kind of see who dominated, right? So we had Bam Adebayo, 24 points in 28 minutes with 5 rebounds and 4 dimes, right? Crazy. Khalil Ware, 19 and 9 in 23 minutes. He's coming. Nikola Jovic stepped up with 20 points in 27 minutes. And Simon Fontecchio from the Pistons is coming in now with 14 points in 23 minutes. Right. Jaime Jaquez, 17 points in 27 minutes, right? And Andrew Wiggins got 10 points, right? So they've got no Tyler Hero at the moment, but man, a lot of guys stepping up. That is something to pay attention to, fam. That's going to be an absolute handful when it comes to that. The Miami Heat, but we will start favorites. Next up, Wembanyama against Zion. Man, I saw Zion put Wemby on a poster, but the Spurs get the big win, 120. Now, the Spurs are going to be dangerous in this one. The Rockets go down to the Pistons, so that's 2 losses in a row now for the Houston Rockets, man. Struggling without a point guard. Thank God we didn't trade Tyler Kolek away, right? They'll be looking for that point guard before you know it, because the Rockets, man, it's going to be tough without a true ball handler, a guy that can set the table for Kevin Durant and Sengun and those other guys, fam. I think Fred VanVleet was the oil to get the engine running, right? Pistons get the big win in that one. I think the Pistons started with a win in the last game as well. Now the Wizards pile on the early pain for the Dallas Mavericks. So they're 2 losses on the bounce now. And the Washington Wizards get the big win. 117-107. Right. So we saw it firsthand, man. I told y'all the Wizards are going to be pesky. They're young, they're feisty. And they got a lot of defensive size with the wingspan. So the Mavericks start 0-2, right? They're searching for their first win. And we have the games in action right now. We've got the Kings up over the Jazz, the Lakers and the Timberwolves locked at 63 apiece. We've got the Clippers, the Suns, and the Blazers Warriors, fam. The Blazers, man, playing under their new interim coach right now. So that's some very interesting results so far, ladies and gentlemen. as we come back to our New York Knicks, right? I think depth has been the standout for me, and Mike Brown pushing all the right buttons. Johnny Chiba says the Knicks are like the Avengers, and Huck is that Hulk with the Huck smash, fam. I want to see Huck really get more opportunities, but I think Mike Brown playing the long game is quite smart too, fam. The more wins we can scrape out without playing all of our guys, I think it's going to keep them fresh. We know Huck was dealing with a meniscus in the off season, so let's continue to play our extended rotations, man. No guys over 30 minutes, ideally, um, especially like OG and Macau. Michi. I mean, how much of a luxury is it to have Josh Hart, guys, coming off the bench? When it comes to Hart, we forget about how great he was as a starter at times, man. He was absolutely dominant. Remember, he had a 40 piece, he had a multiple 30-point games. Knicks record holder for the triple doubles. I think he's got 6 or 7 triple doubles in a season to match Clyde's record. I mean, we're bringing this guy off our bench now. And so I think the quicker he gets up to speed, Hart he's gonna swing games off the bench. But guys aren't gonna know what hit them when he comes off the bench and steps in. It's gonna be a juggernaut. The way he attacks the glass, the way he runs in transition, the way he can also get the ball moving. Paula says if they want Kolek, they're going to have to pony up and give us 2 first-round picks. I like that, Paula. I mean, not that I want to give away Kolek, but yesterday's price is not today's price. Man, I'm so glad we expressed patience, right? That Malcolm Brogdon experiment, it was always going to go one way or the extreme. He was either going to be steady for us and a big contributor, or he was just going to flame out, crash out, and he retired before any of that happened. Eddie says Kolek does have a shot, but I like Deuce. Used to be, Deuce used to be. He needs to be confident in the NBA games with it. If he can be a 35% shooter from 3. He's an incredible bargain at a backup point guard. I think chemistry and just getting to know the plays and remember, I think Mike Brown is freestyling, quite a lot. And, we've got so many weapons that, he doesn't really need to be calling a play every game, man. He ain't Rick Carlisle, who used to call a play out every single game in Dallas. Kind of like, I know we were very interested in Jason Kidd, and Jason Kidd does coach like that as well. Former point guard. He likes to let the point guard on the floor just run the offense and based on instinct. You do see it with Kolek. He just likes to, run off the instincts. Pick and roll, get downhill, swing the ball to the corners. Pick and pops are good. I think he has good chemistry with Kat, Yabu, and Huck. One thing about Kolek is he's always spatially aware of where the big is and where everyone else is in terms of the corners, the shooters. He's got the court vision that you can't teach. What do they say? Point guard is the most difficult position to learn. And I was thinking about this during the game, when Kolek was coming in and really, asserting his authority. It hit me that, like, we can't forget he was a first-round talent. I know we kind of did the flip. We let him slide to the second round, but we cannot forget Tyler Kolek is a first-round talent. Once he puts it all together, you see first-round talent. There's a difference between a second-round pick and a guy that came in, as Big East Player of the Season. One of my keys for him in the off season was just to get stronger. Being able to be physical and affect the game in other ways. And I think Kolek did that tonight. Fam. I think Stan Van Gundy even noted that Kolek took a charge, or he stood his ground, and Derek White was storming to the basket, like a freight train. And who stepped in front of him? It was Kolek, and he got his hands on the ball and forced the turnover or forced the miss. And that was big time. We don't see that for Kolek last season. You know, maybe it's just the anticipation. He's up to the game speed now, and confidence goes a long way. If you know you're going to play, man, you can warm up, you can get in a rhythm, you can get loosey goosey. You feel a lot better. Under Thibodeau, you're sitting there on the bench thinking, man, is he going to throw me out there? Possibly not. And then sometimes randomly, Tibbs would, he would throw you out there, one in every 15 games, and you'd be cold, you'd be stiff. And I think when it comes to like knowing your role, we talk about Kat, who said, "I don't know my role," and that's a work in progress. I think when it comes to some of the other guys, I think they're going to know their role. Kolek knows his role right now. Um, when it comes to that, Mikal Bridges, another guy, really knows his role. Right now, is Mikal Bridges like another pickup from the off season. Eddie F shout out says, how did you like seeing those hard screens from Yabu tonight? He's a load out there. Yeah, old school Eddie, old school traditional big man. He reminds me of like, Mace. I know some people have said that comparison. Mace, Oakley, obviously more of an offensive touch. Yeah, Yabu knows, man. He's a master of the craft because he knows in Europe, Europe doesn't have that level of spacing we have. It's a smaller 3-point line, Eddie. With Yabusele coming from Europe, how they run their offense in the European basketball is a lot of pick and rolls. You got to pick and roll teams to death just to find some space. So yeah, I like what Yabu's doing out there, fam, and definitely he's a guy who as we just look back on opening night too in some of these highlights. Yeah, I think Yabusele is going to be big time, for us in the playoffs, as well as he finds his way. I like his scrappiness and throw his weight around too. And setting good screens, Eddie, is a huge part of our offense because, last year we weren't able to get easy shots very often, man. Brunson made tough shots look easy sometimes. And it's a case of like, we could just simplify the game and make things a lot easier, and that's where coaching comes in, and look, I understand Tibbs is spending time with some other coaches right now, but Mike Brown did that. Mike Brown went around, he did, work with Steve Kerr after the Cleveland experiment. And then he got his own job again with the Sacramento Kings. And I think, yeah, more experience does pay off, when it comes to Mike Brown. And I know he wasn't everyone's first choice, and some people were thinking, look, this is going to fail. And you even hear the haters like, Matt Barnes talking about, he's a nice guy, he's going to get eaten alive in the Mecca. Well, I'm like, no two situations are the same. Matt Barnes, you might be talking about your former days, but this is a new day right now. Leon Rose only hires professionals in terms of, quality players, in terms of character, good character players. All these guys with buy-in, they all want to win here. There's no selfish me first kind of guys like there was, in those Matt Barnes situations that he's talking about. Talking about meta world peace and, LeBron and that, Kobe. Our guys are different right now. There's a level of buy-in where we know that like we're on the cusp of a championship, right? So I don't think we've got the same egos to worry about. Um, but Mike Brown has the backing of the front office, right? If things were to get a little bit dicey with some personalities and egos, like Mike Brown's free to pull the rein, you know, on these guys, you know. But look, you know, especially with the Villanova connection, Cat from the area, I think it has all the right mix of ingredients for these guys to go all the way. You know, you got role players that some are here on good contracts, some are here to ready to get paid. That's okay. That's going to keep them hungry when it comes to Yabusele, Clarkson, Deuce playing for a contract, Mitch playing for his contract. So far, I think everything's kind of in a healthy situation, um, you know, and yeah, like you guys said tonight, if the chemistry continues to gel and get better, um, and especially defensively, I think we can become a lot more sharp with our rotations. We are guarding the three ball better so far. Today was a little bit more drop coverage with Cat, but he cleaned it. He cleaned it up, and you know, we ended up finishing with a double-digit victory, ladies and gentlemen, which you never sneeze over. This still is the Boston Celtics. I think they could finish in the playoff picture. Um, I think they'll probably avoid the play-in. They might have to make a pickup or two, I think, in the off season, though. We'll see what happens with the Boston Celtics, right, and where they can finish in the East. But we cast our eye now on the road ahead. Now's when we talk about what's next. Okay, we've beaten Cleveland, we've beaten Boston now. You know, what's the next challenge? Well, the next biggest challenge is the Miami Heat coming up on Sunday, and then Milwaukee. A couple of tough road games, and then we get at it for the first game against the NBA Cup opponent, the Chicago Bulls, who were a bogey team for the New York Knicks last season, guys. The Chicago Bulls started out with a win the other day, and the Knicks struggled to push them aside last season, right? But first, we've got to take care of Miami and Milwaukee, right? Last year, the Knicks were a very strong road team, right? That bond camaraderie came together on the road. Let's see if these New York Knicks are locked in against the Heat and South Beach. Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra. The Knicks were interested in Eric Spoelstra, I remember, in the off season, right? Let's see how the Miami Heat look. They look dangerous tonight, right? They do have some new pieces that they picked up. I like the pickup of Norm Powell, right? Norm Powell was a big time pickup for the Miami Heat. How much did he put up tonight? Norm Powell put up 15 and 6 in 25 minutes, fam. But the thing that stands out to me is the Memphis Grizzlies, man. They're not really a pushover, right? So they had Ja Morant play. They had Caldwell Pope, Jaren Jackson played, Jalen Wells played, GG Jackson played. But it looks like he cut their minutes down after they got blown out early. Fam. Ja Morant only played 22 minutes. KCP played 23. Jaren Jackson played 21. So it looks like the Heat just jumped them early, fam. Yes, they did. So 44-25 in the first quarter, and then a 42-22 second quarter. So the Miami Heat were up by, wow, they're up by almost 40. They were up by 39 at the half, which is crazy. So the Miami Heat absolutely destroyed the Memphis Grizzlies. So it'll be a great test. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we look on the road against the Miami Heat. But then the Milwaukee thing, right? Let's say we get through Miami and we're 3-0. Well, guess what? That Giannis situation and the headlines, they're going to be buzzing going into that Milwaukee game. We can make another statement by defeating another, you know, formidable Eastern opponent. Not so formidable though. After losing Damian Lillard, now they've got Miles Turner. So the Milwaukee Bucks will be looking to to stake their claim against the leaders in the East, the New York Knicks, right? So the challenges continue to come. Stanley Mann says Chicago looks legit. Next 3 games will be tough. Yeah, I think it'll be a nice challenge, Can't get complacent. I think it's easy to get up against a Cleveland and a Boston and kind of take them seriously, right? I think where we we let slip last season was we kind of, started to feel ourselves a little bit. Remember the Utah Jazz punked us early. Washington punked us sometimes. Chicago did, like Stanley says. Bam. And then on that front, Buzzer Beater says the Heat ain't ish. So I'm loving the confidence. Milwaukee's mid. We can handle them, man. We can brush them aside. We just have to take it serious, though. Come out and do what Miami did to Memphis tonight, man. Get up by 50 at the half, man. Make them so shook that they just got to run out their bench lineup to start the third. Wave the white flag when it comes to that. Now, one thing we are going to find out, though, inevitably, guys, that the next back-to-back is going to come, right? So what's he going to do with the heavy hitters, right? Is he going to, sacrifice some of the minutes from Cat, from Brunson, OG, and try to keep these guys, less banged up, more healthy? Let's not forget Mike Brown is aiming to practice a lot. Yeah, I'm talking about practice, but Mike Brown wants to practice a lot. And if he's not running any sets yet, and the offense is still going kind of into a sloppy funk, then we are going to have to iron some of the kinks out and, make sure that guys, are gelling right now. Right now, I just think we're freestyling, which is okay to start the season. But, there's only so but long you can freestyle, fam, before we get punched in the mouth. Someone is going to come in and give us a tough game and lock down. Right. That's why I want to see us play Huck at the 5. I want to see us play Trey Jemison again. I liked him. I liked his screens. Look, I'm not really even counting on Mitch right now. I don't know if and when he's going to be back. Whether it's going to be like next month, who knows? Right now they're keeping quiet. They're keeping quiet on the Mitch front. I think we have 14 back-to-backs, fam. So it's not too bad. And we're kind of over some of the toughest part of the schedule early. Cleveland, Boston out the way. So let's continue, man, with this momentum. As I told y'all in the off-season, the New York Knicks have the second best strength of schedule, fam. That's no lie. According to last season's last season standings and the new metrics, the Knicks are coming in with the second best strength of schedule behind the Denver Nuggets. So let's capitalize. My prediction was 56 wins, but I think there's a 60-piece opportunity. If we can get out to a 10-1 start or a 10-0 or a 9-1 start or something crazy hot like that, man, 60 burgers on if we can get off to that hot start. Now, if we pick up a couple of losses early and we got to pick ourselves up, I think 55 is probably more realistic. We do got to avoid that injury bug, fam. As I'll just refresh, hopefully get the last word on the OG update. But yeah, defensively. Okay, yes, defensively we good, right? With our defensive big men back, right? And so let me bring this up, right? We have the update from Ian Begley, right? We could sign off with this. Great update. Definitely going to leave a lot of people relieved. So Ian Begley's reporting, OG Anunoby would have been able to go back into the ball game if needed. Mike Brown said. OG and Anunoby had cramp and left the floor in the fourth quarter. Seems like a non-issue. Yeah, exactly like I kind of diagnosed. Normally when the leg kind of goes straight and stiff, it's cramp as well. And we are all good with OG. And thanks to Drew Reviews Music earlier for giving us that update. Johnny Chiba says Knicks depth is an advantage in back-to-backs. Most def, Johnny. I'm thinking of those tricky like banana peel games, like Cleveland. Washington, Charlotte, Chicago. A lot of those games were a grind. Utah last season. I think now our second string units can take care of some of those teams or play the bulk of the minutes. And another question from Johnny Chiba says, which Knicks players are going to benefit the most from Mike Brown's style of play? Definitely Bridges, and I'll say Kolek next. I'm with you. I'm right there with you on the Kolek and Bridges. Next, I'm just going to say OG, because I think when the ball moves quickly and OG gets those quick catch and shoot threes, we like we saw last season, he can get 30 points quickly. Cat's going to benefit from the catch and shoot quickly as well. I think by the time we set up our offense last season, Cat was kind of getting it late in the shot clock. But you see tonight, Cat gets the ball quicker. And last but not least, Johnny, I'm going to throw Deuce McBride in there. I think Deuce McBride loves to play at a good speed. He's good in transition. And he's also very athletic and can get up and down. So yeah, I think OG, Cat, and Deuce McBride, ladies and gentlemen, on that. So, yep, we buzz in honorable mention to JC, Jordan Clarkson. OG is okay. Buzzer says glad to hear. Grise says good news as well, most definitely. AI reference earlier. You guys appreciate in the practice situation. Man, look, Mike Brown loves to talk. You already see some of the clips behind the scenes. And I think he's going to get guys knowing their role, man. If Cat doesn't know his role yet, don't worry about that. He's going to know his role. Right. When he's done his 50th practice for the season, right, he's going to know his role right now, man. His role is to dominate. Right? If I'm the coach, I'm like, Cat, your role is to dominate. That's it. That's all you need to worry about, man. That's all you need to worry about, Cat. Right? You claim to be the greatest shooting big man of all time, man. You should know where to be on the floor, to receive the shots and cut out the drop coverage, and we'll be okay. And get the ball moving as well. Cat's dangerous when he's passing the rock. Now, next question is, what rule change would I like to see regarding gambling in the league? Great question, Buzzer, man. I was thinking you were going to go more towards what basketball rule changes, but now it's more about gambling in the league. So, one thing to note, Buzzer and guys, is the league did make some changes last season regarding injury reporting. So you used to only have to report an injury status, I think, at 5 p.m. Now they make teams report injuries every few hours. Like, I think there's an 11 a.m. injury report, there's a 1 p.m., and then there's a 3 p.m. and a 5 p.m. So that means that these betting agencies can quickly update their odds, for guys questionable, upgraded to probable, or downgraded from that, downgraded from there to unlikely. Then, the agencies can update. But what I would change is, I just think that the line bets, these line bets are the ones that are kind of shady to me. You think about referees, Buzzer. Tim Donaghy already spoke about how referees can influence a game, right? 2 quick fouls, all right, Jalen Brunson, all right, Karl Anthony Towns, you're out of the ball game. 3 fouls in 2 minutes, you're out of the game. So that can allow the underdog to decrease the chances of the spread of these line bet. Obviously the player prop bets, but I don't think that's so much of a worry, because I think these gambling organizations are onto it real quick. If you're stupid enough to put 100 grand on Terry Rozier over under, or or a Jonte Porter, big money comes down on him, it's blatantly obvious that someone knows something. So I think the league just got to pay attention quickly and be swift with the penalties, buzzer. So yeah, I want harsher penalties, swift. And if a guy's under review, he can't play, right? I think it's hypocritical if a guy is kind of under investigation and he can still play. And so yeah, make these guys even more kind of, scared to get involved. With that said, but it's a tough subject right here. I hate to be talking about this, and like Adam Silver does, we just want to be talking about the games, and the sport. But as I just sort of wrap up on this, we appreciate what we have in New York right now, right? We don't have divas. We don't have guys in the spotlight for the wrong reasons, right? We don't have guys out partying in Vegas and, dealing with investigations in gambling, connections to the mafia. Kawhi Leonard dealing with, circumventing the cap and all of that, fam. Right. The only chip, fam, forget Vegas. The only chip we're coming from is this chip, right? Not talking about Vegas chips. We're coming for this chip. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we want. That's what we're here for, fam. And Mike Brown is here to finish the job, ladies and gentlemen. My analogy with Tibbs is Tibbs was the fire starter, the table setter, and Mike Brown is the finisher, right? I'll leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen. Tibbs was the fire starter and Mike Brown is the finisher, coming in here to get the job done. So have a great night, everyone. Bless up. And we'll see you on the next one, man. Sunday night, South Beach. Let's go for 3-0, right? And appreciate you joining the show. Let's go. New York Knicks.